Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for our cash tag segment. Let's bring in Landon Swan. He's a co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. So we're talking the Trade Desk. It's a digital ad manager. We covered it about a month ago ahead of earnings. We've seen this stock up about 80%. What kind of data are you seeing? It seems like they're rolling out some new products now that are going against maybe some of the norms, because they always said they were different from Google Alphabet as far as advertising and how they manage some of their clients. But now they're starting to move into a space where they're going to compete directly with Google Alphabet. Are you guys still seeing positive data on this one after the 80% run-up we've seen?
Yeah, so I tell you what, this company is one of our favorites at LikeFolio. We've seen a lot of strong data over the years on it. We've been bullish for actually quite a while. But for those, maybe not everyone's familiar with what this company does, but they basically help advertisers manage and optimize campaigns across various channels, and they help them do it efficiently. And I think that's the key. So they're really good at making sure that your advertising dollars count on these streaming platforms. And so when we look at the specific data around this company, one of the biggest metrics we look at is their website visits. And so when you look at how that's been doing over the last year or so, it's up about 27%. And actually, when we talked about this about a month ago, they were only up 20% on a year-over-year basis. So now they're up 27% on a year-over-year basis. They're gaining momentum, obviously you can see from the chart here up and to the right, that's what you want. I mean, it's got some ups and downs, but overall very strong. And it also is reflective of the consumer happiness. We've seen users at about 82% happiness, up 5 points over the last year on this company. So they're doing really well with their clients, and people are liking the results that they're seeing. Plus, they're in a growing sector. If you look back at 2015, about 9% of TV watchers were exclusively streaming. Now it's about 25%. And you can see the ad spend, that blue bar is the digital spend versus the traditional cable. So digital is, obviously it's growing very quickly. It's about 2/3 right now. Eventually, it's probably going to be 100%. It's just a matter of how many years it takes to get there. And they're the dominant player in this space of making sure that your ads are getting seen by the right people so that your advertising dollar goes as far as it can. So you think about how many people are streaming. Again, it went from 9% to 25% exclusively streaming. I think almost everybody's streaming at some point right now. But the exclusive streamers, I'm one of them. It's just a different world. And that all of that yellow bar is going away completely for those people, and that's just growing. And so what's exciting about them is that they're actually using AI to give you ads that are interesting to you. We've seen this with Pinterest. We were very excited about Pinterest years ago because they were the ones that really first figured out that you can serve ads to people in a way that isn't interfering with their enjoyment of their website, right? I mean, I can remember going to Yahoo on different things. Maybe it was for fantasy football or finance or something like that, and they'd stick an ad right in my face, and I'd have to watch something and wait and click, and it was just an obstruction. And then you hear reports and you look at how people use Pinterest. They know your interests, and they serve you things that are interesting to you. And so you actually like the ads, and that's what the Trade Desk is getting towards. That's their goal, is so that when you're on streaming platform and you get ads, it's for something that you're actually interested in. And they have a saying with AI that AI is only as intelligent as the data it's built on. Well, their AI platform serves or interacts with users on about 600 billion times per day. So they've got all the data they need to know what you're into and know what may be a good ad for you. And so it's not just what kind of ads interest you, it's what kind of ads are you going to follow up, make a purchase, and then the advertiser says, wow, that was a good ROI. Let's invest more with the Trade Desk. So it's just going to continue to build over time. And overall, obviously, as you can tell, we're pretty bullish on this company.
Landon, the numbers they're putting up, the customer retention, all the growth that they had, the growth that they're projecting to have, there's a lot of positives here about this, but, and here comes the but, Landon, here comes the other side. The valuation is getting stretched. It's been stretched before, though. But here's the real question that our viewers need you to answer, Landon. how much of a true competitor is Google Alphabet? Because they seem to be, the Trade Desk seems to be in the perfect spot as linear TV keeps going away and digital keeps getting stronger. Look at the Charter Disney news today. I think linear TV is starting to implode here, but Google Alphabet, as you know, like they've done in travel, like they've done in other areas of the economy, they do things really cheap just to get you in their universe. Is this one of those situations that could hurt the Trade Desk?
You know what? I mean, if you would have asked me this question a few years ago, I probably would have said yes, and it would have scared me. But I've seen so many times where a big company, a lot of times Amazon, sometimes Google, gets into a space and investors panic and say, oh man, the big guy's going to come in and smash the small guys. But I tell you what, there's something about a company that only does one thing, that is solely focused on that. And then if a giant comes in and says, you know what, we're gonna squash them with 1/25th of our resources. We've seen it. It just doesn't seem to work. It seems like the focused, I'd say smaller, Trade Desk isn't a small company, but compared to Google they are, but the smaller company it tends to have more success. We've seen it many, many times. And so, obviously if I'm a Trade Desk investor, I'd rather Google not get into this. I'd rather them not compete with Google directly. I'd like them to just do what they do. But it doesn't scare me nearly as much as it would have a few years ago, certainly before Amazon and Whole Foods was going to destroy Kroger and all the other ones that, all the other examples that we've had. So, I don't like it, but I don't hate it. It's not the end of the world for Trade Desk.
Landon, when you look at the digital or the advertising landscape at the start of the year, everybody expected this massive slowdown, saw some pressure on some of these names. But then now we've weathered that. Now, looking forward, political ads are a big thing. And we don't talk politics on this show, but do you guys have data that shows seasonality during major elections that, hey, digital ad spend really starts to pick up, and that's only a bonus for companies like the Trade Desk?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's going to pick up, obviously, and I'm so glad I'm on streaming now because I don't have to be inundated with that. But yeah, if you're ever in a situation where you've got to watch the regular traditional television, that's all you see. That's all we're going to see over the next year or so. But it's obviously going to be seasonal. But I think what's really important when you talk about the Trade Desk and people increasing their advertising dollars, I want you to think about it from the advertiser's perspective. So if I'm a small business or I'm a large business, I'm a business and I've got advertising dollars, I'm going to put some at work and see how it does. And if it returns, a number on a customer acquisition cost where over 3 years I can get that back and retain them, and then I'm profitable on that customer, I might add some to that. But if it's more efficient than that, if it's an extremely efficient advertising campaign and now I can get my customer acquisition cost to return on 1 year or 6 months, I'm not just going to increase, I am going to flood that platform with my ads because now it's a leverage point and I want to increase it. So what they're doing is they're taking that efficiency up significantly. So it's not just more appealing, it's a no-brainer for these companies, and they're not going to just increase by 5 or 10%, they're going to double or triple their spend. So when they get to that point where they're increasing efficiency so much, that's when they're going to just completely turn over and be a profit producing machine. So I'm going a little overboard on how bullish I am, but I just love the fact that they're serving ads that are more efficient because the user actually likes them and interacts with them. And as a business owner, I can identify with that. I'm going to pour money into that campaign. Yeah,
and I remember just about a year or two ago, Landon, some of these major corporations were pulling ads from different platforms based on a lot of the data that they receive from companies like the Trade Desk, where they can make their pinpointing their direct consumers that they want to reach more directly, right? And that's the key to this company, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to figure out what they want, and just like I said, 600 points of data, interactions with users every day. That's so much data, and if they can use it intelligently, which they're clearly focused on doing, I think they've got the tools to do that. Then it's going to be incredible the amount of efficiency you gain. And when you are an advertiser and you think about going traditional versus streaming, and then streaming versus streaming smart with Trade Desk, it's going to just be so easy to move your money over to streaming with Trade Desk because it's just going to have a much higher ROI. And that's the end game for advertisers. And that's why Trade Desk is going to benefit.
Yeah, and speaking of advertising, Landon, just came out, New York Times came out and said that Facebook, Instagram in Europe might not have, or they might have a pay-for strategy, getting rid of ads altogether to kind of appease some of the regulators over there. So maybe next week we might have to discuss Meta platforms with you guys at LikeFolio and your data. Appreciate it. Landon, have a great weekend. Have a great holiday.
Yeah, enjoy it, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio, breaking it down for us. Cav, let's get